assists, a helping hand with your land.
Neil from Essex here to talk to you a little bit today about the Steiner 450, and more specifically this really cool configuration that we have sold here to a local customer. I've done a lot of videos on Steiner equipment, partly because it's a pretty niche product for us. It's not one that we sell a whole lot of compared to the subcompact tractors we sell or the big farm equipment or construction equipment. It's just not a high volume product line for us, and that's because this is a very niche tractor. But believe it or not, even though it's a fairly niche tractor, it is the product that I have spent the most time on. Growing up, my dad, our general manager, many guys in our company have chosen to own Steiner equipment for themselves at their own homes. And growing up, my dad had one of these, and we used it for all kinds of stuff, for mowing the grass, mowing the woods, pulling out firewood. I used to cut and sell firewood, and we use a Steiner to yank every one of those logs out of the woods. So it's a tractor that's very near and dear to me, even though today it's become a fairly niche product for us. The reason why I would say it's a niche product is because of its expense, because they don't sell a whole lot of these things. Machines like Steiner's and their sister company, Ventrac, are fairly expensive compared to, say, an everyday subcompact or compact tractor. That said, there are a lot of applications where these things really excel, and if you have specific tasks at hand, you're going to find that there can be Steiner tractors that are going to simply outperform any other tractor you could consider. You can't miss the fact that this thing is equipped with these big dual tires, and that's because this customer is buying this to do some mowing in some really tricky areas. These duals on the side of the machine and the rough cut mower that's on the front is going to do a really good job of mowing on some extreme hillsides, and that's one place that we do send a lot of these things into when it comes to mowing, say, retention basins and that kind of thing, where you're on those steep hillsides. These machines have a lot of weight down low center of gravity, where the engine's down low, the structure of the machine's down low, and these duals can be fitted on. The duals are really simple. It's a duplicate of the inside tire with a box in the middle to tie them together, and it's only a couple $100 option on top of the base machine. There's a lot of series of mower decks for these as well, 48 to 72 inch finish mowers, this rough cut mower. There's Christmas tree mowers too, which we've done a couple of, that can be used again for mowing those unique places where, you know, obviously you can finish mow with just about anything, but a Christmas tree mower, giving you that narrow mower with side guards and stuff to be able to push branches out of the way, is a unique piece that you just can't fit onto another piece of equipment. I've not spent a lot of time doing some videos on these, but just to give you a little idea of mechanically what they offer here. This is a 37 horsepower EFI Vanguard engine. They're also going to have some Kubota gas and Kubota diesel options available as well. Those are going to come in at a little bit lower horsepower, but offer more torque and generally a little bit more longevity than what a gas engine does. A lot of these machines do tend to see a lot of hours. We've sold a lot of them into chicken houses and dairy barns and stuff where they're running hours and hours a day pushing feed and those kinds of things back and forth. And so some of those diesel options are fairly popular because of the hours that those engines are able to hit. The chassis under these things is really significant, unlike a lot of like lawn equipment that by the time you're wearing out the engine, you've ruined the rest of the machine. That's not the case for Steiners. You'll actually see guys take the older machines that have thousands of hours on them and do engine swaps and stuff because the rest of the tractor is just that solid. Operationally, these are a fairly simple machine to drive, so you have a hydrostatic pedal down the floor with a toe heel setup, throttle up on the dash, PTO engagement. This does have a 2-range transmission, and you can shift between low and high with the lever right here. Over on my side, I have the right-hand lever to do the front lift to move that implement yoke up and down, and every one of these tractors has a set of auxiliary hydraulics that are often used for things like angle blades and cylinders on some of the attachments. There is a cool weight transfer function that you can dial up and down over here that is able to shift some of the weight between the tractor and the implements, and that happens to really work well in those side mowing applications where we were talking about earlier, where you want the tractor to carry more of the implement weight to transfer that weight back to the tires where they can be of tractive help. You can't not notice the relationship between Steiner and Ventrac. They are very similar looking machines and use the same hookup mechanism on the front of the tractor. That's because both companies were actually started by the same group of guys. So Steiner was the first company that was started by the Steiner brothers in Ohio, if I'm correct. And once they grew the company into something successful, they ultimately sold it off to another company. Now, what ended up happening is after their non-compete was over, they started Ventrac and started another venture with a very, very similar tractor. We've chosen to stay with Steiner, and for a variety of reasons, but partly because of the long history we had with that company and the many, many machines that we had out in the field. This attachment yoke in the front is shared between those two companies, and in a lot of cases you can actually interchange their implements back and forth. You do got to be careful with that, and you do got to watch when you go back to some of the really old Steiner stuff. There are some places you can run into conflicts, but this very simple yoke and belt system here in the front has served them very well and has been consistent over the 30 or more years these guys have been building tractors. Very easy to take an attachment on and off. You simply pull a lever back here. It opens up a little arm off of a pin. You pull the tension off of a belt, and then you back right away. All the implements are belt driven, and by and large, I'll tell you, I mean, while we're used to shafts and a lot of equipment, I can't say that I've ever really seen this belt cause us an issue. So you can see that attachment system is fairly unique and really easy to use. One neat thing about it is that it has downforce. Unlike a 3-point hitch in the back of a tractor, this front yoke can actually push down. So for things like front blades or stump grinders and that kind of stuff, where you want to be able to push that implement down into the ground, you're able to do that with this front yoke, where a tractor's 3-point wouldn't be able to do that. So that's really cool. Steiner's got a really extensive list of attachments and is probably built, oh gosh, I mean, there's probably 20, 25 things in the product line right now, and I bet the better part of about 50 different things built over the last several years of really unique attachments to go into the front of this tractor. So, like I said, they can be costly, but some of them can be surprisingly cheap too, just depending on what the construction of the piece is like. It's a really cool tractor for the right application. So if you have a really challenging application and you think a Steiner might be a good fit for it, we're more than willing to help. You can give us a call at 800-222-3373 or check us out at Messick.com. You can give us a call at Give us a call? Holy cow. Give us a call. Okay, I don't even know where I was going with that. For you, we're more than willing to help you through that process. You can give us a call at I did it again!